Baton Rouge, Louisiana is the only rap scene where you could catch one of the biggest artists in the world going on a stadium tour while his biggest op just got indicted for murking someone's auntie. It's no secret that rappers from Baton Rouge have a major problem with either staying on the streets or just staying alive. You know what's crazy? When the top rapper from the area, Youngboy, was only able to gain his freedom through a random presidential pardon, while all his ops are either dead or facing a lifetime of prison. One of the few rappers from the area that actually had some promise from the Zion City area was Realbleeda, a member of the Bleeda's gang made famous for their fallen member Realbleeda. Realbleeda unfortunately got murked several years ago, which led to Realbleeda being the only real member to carry the torch. And it was all going well for a while until this year, when bro decided to commence the biggest crash out of the 21st century.
Oh, good scary Monroe, man. Oh, do it. Hit it up right now.
Oh, come on, y'all.
Right now.
No.
Thanks, Baton Rouge police investigating two shootings that happened on roadways over the weekend.
Michael, the victim, has been identified as Teresa Callaghan, and police say it appears a vehicle pulled up alongside her and someone opened fire.
Somehow, in a 2-week span, bro got arrested for waving a gun in a crowded mall when he saw his ops from YNN, and then somehow, someway, got arrested for an alleged murder. The crazy thing about this situation is the murder wasn't some op or get back for his fallen brothers. He was arrested for the death of a community leader in a spontaneous shooting in 2024 that left activist Teresa Callaghan the dean of the Walls Project, an initiative to keep kids off the street and give them an opportunity to learn how to code. Honestly, bruh, the whole situation is crazy. So today we got to get into the beef that led to this crazy accidental shooting and how it exactly will affect Realbleeda right now. But before we do, gang, I'm gonna need you to do something for me, man. Like, comment, subscribe, tap into the merch link in the description, hit that notification bell so whenever I post, y'all tune in right away, and consider becoming a member for discounted merch and getting your product or song featured as promo at the beginning of every video. You already know what's going on, man. So let's tap into this whole situation because it's honestly crazy. 1 minute you're free, 1 minute you're literally facing a lifetime of prison. So let's get into it, man. Man, Realbleeda has had probably the most significant crash out runs I've seen in modern times. Bro survived a shooting about a year ago that almost took him out, and instead of taking a newly found lease on life, bro took it upon himself to make sure his career is ended in the absolute worst way possible. Well, looking at this whole situation from the outside, you might wonder, how could bro even be so randomly violent, taking out random people who I guess he thought were off? The explanation most likely comes from a well-documented gang feud between the Bleedas and several other gangs in the area, both of which have ties to the biggest rapper in our generation, NBA Youngboy. A beef we gotta get into now between the Bleedas, 4K Trey, and another group called YNN. To explain how bro could have been in a constant paranoid state, looking for the ops that were just happened to be bystanders in the wrong place at the wrong time. Imagine for one day you're a famous rapper in your city, getting some self-loving, you know, posted in the nail salon, trying to get a pedicure, feeling like you earned it, stepping on these ninjas all day, 24/7, 365. But then somehow, someway, you drop the location for your ops on accident just by posting a photo, and just minutes later you're getting caught up in a hail of gunfire.
And we do begin with breaking news. Monroe police are on the scene following a at the Walmart Supercenter gas station on Louisville Avenue.
This ain't no low-budget Tubi movie, no. This is the very real life of Baton Rouge rapper Realbleeda. Honestly, I could end it right there and you think it was some crazy shit. But the story goes even deeper, with his ops getting arrested due to self-snitching in a diss track 48 hours later after the incident, and somehow, someway, leaving the most incriminating trail of evidence that you could ever imagine. While it seems that this could be just a random act of violence, there are many pointing to an ongoing war in Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas that has some of the biggest rappers of all time involved, and is a crash out story that can only be broken down one shooting at a time, man. I swear on everything, you cannot make this up, man. We gotta get into the war that is in Baton Rouge right now that almost ended Realbleeda and Coldbleeda and everything else that led up to that. Understand how things even got this bad. You gotta understand right now that Baton Rouge and honestly the surrounding areas are a complete war zone.
Police are investigating a shooting.
Another shooting happened on a Roulette Avenue.
East Baton Rouge Parish saw 170 homicides in 2021.
And another shooting.
So far in 22, there are already 10. Police responded to hundreds of violent crimes, and with news alerts seemingly daily, some members of the community are worried of what the city is becoming.
People mostly associate places like Chicago and Los Angeles as having a gang problem, but at least these cities have opportunities available for the youth and just job opportunities in general. Baton Rouge, on the other hand, is what you get when you mix extreme southern poverty with no opportunities and generous access to firearms and switches, man. Put all those ingredients together, you got a reckless recipe for an all-out gang war and pretty much people crashing out left and right like it's nothing to it. Louisiana, being one of the poorest states in the nation, just compounds the problems that you see in any really bad area in America. But the desperation and crash out mentality is on 1,000. It seems like these people don't care about other people's lives or their own lives in general. It has been like this for decades with many prominent gang affiliated rappers like the Real G Money and Realbleeda, who was one of the Bleedas. Actual shooting that put Realbleeda out of commission went down in a small nearby town called Monroe. But it seems that the gang ties throughout the city of Baton Rouge might have definitely be the reason behind it, with a lot of 4K trade members basically, you know, talking about it and mocking the whole situation because of their ongoing beef. In a city where it's so accustomed for people to crash out, it's no secret that shootings, violence, and gang activity runs rampant. However, this level of fuckery can only really go down with major players calling hits and putting money on people's heads and an ever-revolving door of violence. So to better understand how it even got to this point, we gotta explain where each of these groups come from and are associated with. Realbleeda is an up-and-coming rapper and honestly the biggest rapper out of the Bleedas. It's a clique based out of the Glen Oaks area of North Baton Rouge, the same area with Baton Rouge where legend G Money is from. The Bleedas aren't really a big group, originally formed with three brothers, Realbleeda, Truebleeda, and Coldbleeda. They got their name when they decided to pursue music and were reminiscent on the blood and sweat that they put on the streets and in the music. They've been in a full-out war with members of 4K Trey and its close affiliates, the Vultures, a gang from Scotlandville, aka Bankstown, area of Baton Rouge. While 4K Trey is a blood set, we're the biggest rapper from Baton Rouge and part-time fake doctor NBA Youngboy reps, which comprises of many people who are pretty close or basically related to Youngboy. At the same time, these groups have affiliates throughout the city and even in neighboring cities, or people that just want to get clout just because they want to beef with the same ops and are trying to rap also and make it out the hood. As you can tell though, beefing with a whole multi-millionaire is not going to be the best idea. Imagine waging a war with someone with damn near unlimited income and too much time on their hands. Plus, the dude who's at the top is thousands of miles away and pretty much untouchable. Obviously tell how things are going to go. Straight, unhinged bloodshed. You could literally spend an entire hour going over the shootings within the city that continue this vicious cycle, but to me there are several instances that put this beef over the edge and created a nightmare situation where promising rappers ended up getting life-altering rooms or locked up and thrown under the jail, which we're going to get into right now. Right now we got to get into the incident that made these groups pick a side to get some background information, because it's a whole convoluted, complicated mess of different ties, and then we'll kind of explain exactly how the shooting went down like this. So first, we got to get into the beginnings. The Bleedas versus the Vultures and 4K Trey, because that kind of explains just a little bit of background. Chapter 2. It seems while affiliates of both 4K Trey and the Bleedas have been trading disses on social media and songs as of late, the beef was not always as bad as it is now. Previously, these groups mostly just shared animosity because of the instances that happened with their affiliates. 4K Trey being close to the Vultures would have beef with the Bleedas, or the Bleedas had close ties to TGB, aka Top Boy Gorilla, the gang where Fredo Bang is from. It's not really clear what incident pulled 4K Trey and Youngboy into the mix, but many point to one of the most recognized beefs, the Bleedas and the Vultures, as being the sparking point. This beef started with several high-profile murders, one of which being the shooting that took out the brother of a well-known Vulture's rapper The Bug, named Gmo.
Well, Baton Rouge police are investigating a shooting that left a man dead. That shooting originally happened in October of last year off Lock Haven Drive. Police say 25-year-old Jamorius Ferguson was shot during a drive-by shooting. He died from his injuries last Saturday. Now, no suspects or motive have been released.
A shooting like this was crazy. It basically took out his brother, who was not even associated and was just a guy that just got caught in the crossfire. Following this shooting, there was a crazy alleged retaliation that took out a well-known Bleeda associate named Mugatti, the shooting of Jamonte Davis. He was not part of the Bleedas, but was just closely associated. And it seems in almost a mirror incident, a wild retaliatory shooting to avenge his death went down and somehow got 4K Trey into this war that they would have otherwise not been a part of. The shooting of Ben 10.
Shooting and killing a man, and the victim was found on the interstate in Ascension Parish.
According to officials, deputies responded to a truck that was blocking 3 lanes on I-10 West near Prairieville. This was around 11 o'clock last night and found bullet holes on the truck and a passenger dead inside.
On December 2nd, 2021, NBA affiliate Ben 10 and his cousin Marvin Batiste were driving through a small town outside of Baton Rouge called Prairieville. When around 11 p.m., a car pulled up beside them and sprayed their car with gunfire. Batiste's body was discovered around 11:30 p.m. in the passenger seat of a truck that lay riddled with bullet holes in the middle of the highway, blocking all 3 lanes of the I-10 westbound near Prairieville exit. This incident was the first where a member of 4K Trey was targeted and pretty much turned on a green light in the streets of Baton Rouge. And soon after the tragedy would follow, the biggest member of the Bleedas would end up getting taken out, which leads us to the death of True Bleeda. Following the retaliatory shooting that took out the 4K Trey affiliate Marvin Batiste, the Bleedas took no time to diss the Vultures of 4K Trey on the Clubhouse and in a crazy diss track literally called Pick Your Partner Up. Yes, not subtle at all. They pretty much were writing, telling everything in their music. But this isn't even the craziest song, because we're going to get into another song that straight detailed a crime word for word. But that's later in the video. So even though they felt that they had upped the score, they would end up taking the biggest loss when True Bleeda was gunned down in a broad daylight assassination that I actually detailed on this channel 2 years ago.
The name of True Bleeda, Baton Rouge rapper 18-year-old Dante Dorsey, one of the victims shot and killed while in a car Friday afternoon on Blue Bonnet Boulevard at Bacardi Avenue.
What we do know, there are 2 deceased here and 2 that were transported by EMS to a local hospital.
The second victim, a 19-year-old Clifton Lindsay, also in the car with Dorsey near the Mall of Louisiana.
Grainy cell phone footage shows a young man hanging outside the rear passenger door of a bullet-riddled Chevy Malibu, his head moving feebly as the scene around him descends into chaos. At around 1 p.m., True Bleeda and several friends decided to go to the Mall of Louisiana to shop. Apparently while there, one of the members felt they had stayed too long.
In the mall, while we in that bitch, I'm telling the hours tell them like, son, ain't got niggas who really want to do us something, son. Like, we gotta take this shit serious, and we've been in this bitch too long.
You know, walking around the mall for over an hour. Keep in mind, this is one of the biggest malls, if not the biggest mall in Louisiana, and is famous. It's kind of like the FBG Duck situation because this is actually a nice area. It's not like they were posted up in the hood, so they probably felt comfortable. But unfortunately, this member's intuition was right, because as a group were leaving the mall, the police say a car pulled up alongside and sprayed up their car in a highly planned and targeted shooting. True Bleeda was left dead on the street as onlookers recorded on some crazy Black Mirror shit. And basically, this was like when everything went downhill. Man, it was a whole traumatic incident that people could see just in broad daylight. There were people just eating, watching this go down. It was insane. However, unfortunately for the Bleedas, this would just be the first incident in a chain of violence that looks like it won't stop anytime soon. Which leads us to what happened with YNN and the Bleedas. Shortly after True Bleeda died, you already know that members of 4K Trey took no time in pretty much making a mockery of the whole situation. It all sort of culminated in top dissing that whole gang and basically talking about it in 4KT Baby, where people think that he alludes to the shooting. Like I said before, beefing with the multi-millionaire is not going to end well, because not only do you got to worry about them, but you got to worry about other groups that could be loosely associated trying to get clout beefing with you too. And unfortunately for Realbleeda and Bleeda, this is exactly what they had going on when they decided to go to Monroe, Louisiana to visit a town outside of Baton Rouge. You see, Even before this shooting, tempers were pretty much flaring. It's pretty safe to say the Bleeders are probably the most hated gang in Louisiana, at least in that region. There was animosity between the Bleeders and another gang in Monroe called YNN. Their biggest member is Double D Cooter, who is honestly kind of fire and known and was making a name for himself in the street. Bro was trying to like get that young boy cosign or something because they were beefing pretty hard. Things were already escalating a day before the shooting because apparently the Bleeders were known for pulling up to Monroe and smashing the thoughts of YNN. Even before the shooting, they were publicly trading shots in Instagram comments, so when things went south, it was obviously no surprise. On Friday 29th, on Easter weekend, Realbleeda and Coldbleeda were in a shopping complex in Monroe, posted up going to VIP nail bar, you know, to get a pedicure. You know, steppers gotta get pedicures too, man. Don't sleep on that. You know, gotta keep your nails clean. You know, don't be having those rusty. I hate when I see these rappers, you know, like Julio Fulio toes, man. Don't be having those Julio Fulio toes. I'm telling you, nails are looking all crusty, like they were digging out of dirt and stuff like that. But that's besides the point. Apparently, Realbleeda was trying to either shout out the nail lady on his close friends or just accidentally posted a picture. But somehow, he accidentally posted this and tagged his location on his story, showing exactly where they were. And best believe the ops from YNN took no time pulling up, because they were in a small ass town. And according to police, a little after 2:15 p.m., Monroe police responded to a shooting near the Murphy USA gas station outside of the Walmart Supercenter on Louisville Avenue. According to police, 2 men were shot and taken to a nearby hospital for treatment. In a press release from MPD, officials said the area around the Walmart and Murphy Oil is safe and that the shooting did not appear to be random. According to police, the investigation revealed 2 groups of people were having an argument about a female when one of the 2 groups pulled out handguns and began to shoot at one of the vehicles on the road. Realbleeda and Coldbleeda sped off, crashed into a gas station while the other group sped off. It was honestly one of the sloppiest, stupidest drills that you can even imagine, bro. Because Walmart, in case you don't know, has cameras everywhere. They got cameras outside, they got cameras at the gas station, they got cameras all up in the parking lot, they got cameras everywhere. It's like a surveillance state in Walmart, man. You do not want to do anything evil in a Walmart area at all because there's cameras everywhere. And it was broad daylight too. Even though Realbleeda and Coldbleeda survived, they got hit multiple times. But in all honesty, this drill was not like the one that took out Truebleeda, because it was legit probably the sloppiest and most crashed out drill of all time. The police had the easiest job in the world, and not even 48 hours later, they were able to find the damn suspects.
Well, more arrests in a gas station shooting that left 2 people injured on Easter weekend. Good evening to you. I'm Jennifer Andrews. Tonight, Monroe police told us it happened at the Murphy Oil gas station on Lammy Lane. They say Tariqa Smith and Tristan Barber were arrested today.
It's not like they were even hiding, bruh. Double D Cooter and other members of YNN like SG Chapo somehow took the time to drop a diss track called 80K, where they literally trolled the Bleeders at the very beginning and basically spoke on the shooting. And trust, hours after that, the feds were at their doors straight arresting these boys in what looked like their pink Easter suits, man. Imagine getting pulled out and taken to jail in a pink Easter suit. Bro was looking crazy. On top of this, it seems like members of 4K Trey were more than overjoyed at the shooting, and even though they had nothing to do with it, as far as we know, were basically online just trolling as you would expect. Honestly, bro, I'm not saying the members of YNN enjoy jail or that they deserve it, but they made the cops have the damn easiest job in the world on everything. They didn't even have to do no additional research. They made that shit simple, easy, 1, 2, 3. It's not even like the shooting was some covert, thought through stuff. It seems like they were acting out of pure emotion, and look where it got them. In the months/weeks following the shooting that almost took out Realbleeda, it seems like bro was on a steady fried activity run. He was eventually on the radar of the Louisiana State DA when somehow, someway, a middle school principal thought it was a good idea to have him giving away PS5s and dancing with kids to his songs, flashing gun emotes. Like, bruh, it's honestly making no sense. But fast forward a couple months later, and the principal would be fired for letting a supposed murderer into the school to do TikToks. But that's a whole nother story. The year of the crash out started strong when May 19th, 2025, Bleeda decided to pull up with the homies to the Pecan Land Mall in Monroe, Louisiana on a Monday with a loaded firearm. While there, he ran into ops from YNN, and one of his homies literally filmed him threatening to shoot the ops in front of everyone.
A Monroe man has been arrested after police say he was waving a gun at the Pecanland Mall. Police say a video is posted on social media of David Catherine waving a gun and threatening to shoot inside the mall. He is charged with 2 counts of aggravated assault with a firearm.
Oh, good, scary Monroe, man. Oh, do it. Hit it up right now. Come on, y'all. Up right now. No.
At first I thought it was a bystander or something filming this. This had to be some type of misunderstanding. That's what I thought in my head, but nah. This video was literally captured and posted by his homies. It was then used by police to get him arrested shortly after. Somewhere after his arrest, it seemed that authorities from the West Parish of Baton Rouge investigated this incident further and was able to either use ballistics or first-hand accounts to track him to an actual targeted shooting in 2024 that resulted in the death of a community activist that we were talking about earlier.
Teresa Callaghan was killed last year in a drive-by shooting. For her family, it still doesn't feel real.
It's just things just not the same without her.
A relative says Callaghan's death left an impact not just on their family, but the community. In 2020, Callaghan helped make sure students at Zachary High were able to celebrate their graduation during COVID.
So she's gonna make the most of any situation, and she's gonna give it her all.
Last September, Callaghan was leaving a family member's campaign party when a car pulled next to her at the intersection of Airline Highway and Greenwell Street and opened fire.
This was not a random act of violence. Of course, some of these incidents, a majority of them are targeted incidents. In this instance, she just wasn't the target they were looking for. She was an innocent bystander going on about her business.
Investigators say the shooter was David Catherine, known by his rap name, Realbleeda.
Looking at video footage from that area, multiple pieces of video footage and multiple witness statements, along with Crime Stoppers tips, which is very important, they were able to develop Catherine as a suspect in this incident.
You may remember Catherine from this controversial video posted online in March, showing him donating snacks and a PS5 to Park Forest Middle School and dancing with students to one of his songs. Attorney General Liz Monroe called it unacceptable at the time and criticized the principal. Today, she released this statement saying, "Remember when I asked who thought it was a good idea to give him free run at one of our middle schools? Glad that the family of Teresa Callaghan finally has some closure. Please continue to keep them in your prayers." East Baton Rouge School Board confirmed the principal of the school is no longer employed at Park Forest Middle. Right now, Catherine faces charges in 3 separate parishes tied to guns and drugs.
Catherine was already arrested in West Baton Rouge Parish on completely separate related criminal charges. While there, it was learned that in Ouachita Parish, which is somewhere in Monroe, Louisiana, they had pending charges on him there, which was not related at all again. So looking at the case and the way we got him from Ouachita after we developed him as a suspect and we brought him back here to charge him and book him in East Baton Rouge Parish.
On the night of September 15th, 2024, Teresa Callaghan was attending a dinner with other political activists at a restaurant in Baton Rouge. As she was driving at the intersection of Airline Highway and Greenwell Street, a car pulled up alongside her and fired multiple shots, killing her in the process. It was announced on Tuesday that this shooting was apparently the work of 22-year-old David Catherine, aka Realbleeda. Police issued a statement saying, "A man connected to the Bleeda's gang was arrested Tuesday in the first-degree murder in 2024 shooting on Airline Highway." Callaghan was the dean of the Coding of the Futures Fund division of the Wells Project and worked to provide teens with tech-based programming skills. Baton Rouge police said this was not a random act of violence. In this instance, she just wasn't the target they were looking for. She was an innocent bystander going about her business. Man, honestly, this is crazy. This dude was just itching to catch a body so bad that he apparently killed a whole random person for no reason at all. I don't know what type of intel these dudes had. Bro seemed like he just was shooting into random cars and was acting crazy in the mall, bringing guns just to antagonize the ops that were going about their day shopping at Zara or some shit, bruh. I'm not saying that I wish jail on anyone, but this dude definitely needs to not be out amongst the free people because of the way that he's moving, man. This is honestly a crazy situation, and it just sounds like a reason that the Baton Rouge area has so many shootings and unsolved murders and stuff like that, because people decide to just go out and do crazy ass shit. You know, like, why exactly does this dude even have access to firearms is a good question in the first place. But besides that, how he got the intel that this was someone that he needs to shoot is a whole nother situation, because apparently she had nothing to do with this street beef. I don't even know how he even figured out apparently that this is the car that it was in. But it could be a whole misunderstanding. It could be the gun that they caught him with at the mall had the body of her on this and it was someone else, and it was a case of a mistaken identity. We don't really know yet, but it seems like the police are pretty sure that it is him, in which case just mark it down as another person that lost their life due to just a whole bunch of fried ass gang activity within the Baton Rouge area, man. But hey, let me know in the comments what y'all think about this whole situation. Real stay safe shit. You already know what's going on. Like, comment, subscribe. You already know, gang. Peace.